welcome to the Arielle Knits YouTube channel. My name is Riley and this is our punch needle course. So in this course you'll learn how to use a punch needle, thread a punch needle, and finish your project. So without further ado, let's dive into it. In this part of the course you'll be learning how to draft your own pattern or transfer a pattern onto your monk's cloth and to get your hoop set up and ready to go. So before we begin though, I just wanted to show you, so this is actually done with punch needle. This is the wrong side. This is the side that's not the rug side, but the side that you see when you're punching, and I really liked the way it looked, so that's what I made. First, let's do materials and what you'll need. So if you're interested, if you don't already have the materials, we do have kits available on our website, and you can purchase them by clicking the link down in the description box. So what you'll need is some monk's cloth, which if you look at it, it's a woven fabric that's great for things like this. Some people think that it is very similar to, is it Aida cloth? The cloth that is used for cross stitching, but it's actually very different, and it's not recommended that you use cross stitching cloth for punch needle because it doesn't expand and contract the way that monk's cloth does. Monk's cloth is perfect for any size needle, any size yarn, because it will form itself around the yarn once it's been punched through the hole, and that's kind of how it's kept there. So monk's cloth is great. So you need a monk's cloth, a hoop of some sort, punch needle, scissors, and some yarn. So to prepare your hoop, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to tape around your monk's cloth, because this cloth frays a lot. If you purchase a kit from me, I have cut it using shears, like pinking shears, but to help minimize the amount of fray until it gets to you. But you will need to tape around it because it will start to fray and come undone as you work and distress the cloth. So once you've done that, you're going to put it into your hoop like you would anything else. So I've already done one right here. And I don't know if you can hear this, but it's very, very tight. As tight as you can possibly get it with the hoop that you're using, you're gonna want to do that because it makes it a lot easier for your needle to go in and out of the fabric the tighter that it is, and it also helps keep your stitches more even. So I did this step first, put it on my hoop first, because I'm going to be drafting my own pattern today. But if you have a pattern that you've printed off or that's come in a kit and you want to transfer it over to your monk's cloth, I would recommend that you do that before you put it on the hoop. It'll make your life a lot easier. And what I do when I'm transferring patterns, this one, I had to transfer a pattern. So what I did is I printed it off, or I had it, or if you have it already, you have it, and then I taped it up onto my window, and then I taped a piece of monk's cloth over it and then traced it through the window. If you have a light table, that will be much easier, but if you don't, most of us don't have light tables, a window does the trick. I also know some people who have glass tables and they'll put a flashlight underneath it and make their own light table. I don't have a glass table, so a window is fantastic. But I'm going to be drafting my own pattern today. So you can do this a couple of ways, like you can draw the pattern on your computer and then print it off and then trace it, or you can just draw it directly onto the monk's cloth, which is what I'm going to be doing today. I like to sketch mine onto my monk's cloth using a crayon, and then if I've had a few different sketches on the same piece of monk's cloth, I'll then bring in like a Sharpie or something to really emphasize where my lines are. So I'm gonna draft my pattern now. So now my pattern is drafted. I'm gonna set this aside because now we're gonna go over how to thread a punch needle. So our kits come with the Oxford punch needle, which I'll show you how to thread here in a second. But before that, if you already have a punch needle and you have a punch needle that kind of looks like this, where there's not a slit in the side, and it comes with this funky looking little tool, I'll show you how to thread one of these because this is the most common punch needle. So to thread one of these, you're going to stick your tool down through the shaft like so. So now there's this, I don't know if you can tell, but there's this little loop right there. So what you're going to do is you're going to stick your yarn through that, so it's kind of hanging out there, and then you'll pull that up through the punch needle. Okay, from here, there's this little hole on the back of a punch needle, and we want the yarn to come through that. So I'm going to stick my tool through that, put my yarn through the tool again, and then pull it through. And that's how you thread a punch needle, a normal punch needle. You'll want to keep track of this tool because you're going to have to use it every single time that you thread your needle. The Oxford punch needle, I really like, one, because it's a very great ergonomic tool, has a beautiful design and is made extremely well, but another thing that I love about it is how easy it is to thread. So on the regular Oxford needles for bulkier yarns, there won't be this little loop down here. But for the fine needles, which this is a fine needle, which may be a little bit confusing because if you're coming from knitting or crocheting, fine usually describes like fingering weight, like super like sock weight yarns, but this is actually fine is worsted and regular is like bulky. So anyways, they have a little loop down here. So there's this step on this one, but not for regular needles. But you're gonna so this, I'm gonna call this the back of the punch needle, and this with the slit, the front of the punch needle. So you're gonna go from back to front through the little loop on the bottom, and then you're gonna bring it up and go front to back through the hole on the top. Then you'll just pull it through, and then you just kind of pull your yarn back and forward to get it down into the notch. So when you're picking yarns out for your punch needle, how you know that it doesn't work for the punch needle. So if you can't pull it through with minimum resistance, then that's not this is not the size of yarn that would work. So this one, see how I can pull the yarn back and forth relatively easily. It feeds through very smoothly. It's a good size yarn for it. If it's moving too easily, it might be too big. If it's moving, like if it's really difficult and you have to like yank it when you're punching with it, then it's too big of a yarn for the needle. So you don't need a lot of yarn here, just a little bit. You only need a little bit. And then also, you're going to want a lot of slack. So with other fiber arts like knitting and crochet, because that's where I was before I came here, you always have tension in your yarn. That is not true for punch needle. Actually, if you have tension in your yarn, it won't work. So you want to make sure you have lots and lots of slack. But let's get to punching. So here's my pattern and here's my punch needle. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to just punch down. So you want your punches, you want to go all the way down. Okay, you want your needle to go all the way through, have it flat against the monk's cloth. For your first stitch, you're going to grab this and you're just going to pull it through so the tail's on the back side. Then you're going to lift your punch needle and keeping the tip very close to your monk's cloth, not lifting the tip up, but keeping it close to your monk's cloth. You're going to move to where the distance of how long you want your stitch to be, and you're going to punch down again. And then you're going to bring your needle up, keep it on the monk's cloth, move it, and down. Up, move, down. Up, move, down. Punch, lift, punch, lift. While you're working, make sure the front of your needle is pointed in the direction that you're punching. When you're first starting out, your stitches may not be all the same length, but you kind of want to keep them all about the same length. And you're just going to go around and do that. So the way people like to punch in different ways, the direction of your stitches make a huge difference. So let me bring that project that I've finished already to show you how direction of stitches. So if you can see, just like if you're drawing and the way that your brush strokes go or your pen strokes, it can make a visual impact. So I have my stitches going this direction for his headband, but like following the direction of his hair and his hair. So that's just something that's like more of like a non-beginner thing, but a good tip to have. I like to give tips like that for beginners because everybody has a different starting point. So like for this, notice how I'm following the movement of the ring. The ring is kind of like a circular shape, so I'm following that line. That's mostly if this side is going to be the right side of your work. For this project it is, but in some pieces of work, this rug part will be the right side. So you can tell I have a couple different textures. So this is like the flat part, and then this is the rug texture. And how I achieved this is partway through my project, I flipped my work, and then you can see it's like this is rug and this is flat. It doesn't matter as much, like you can't tell because it's black yarn, but like with this one, I just kind of like did an outline along the edge, and then I just kept going in circular motions until it was filled in. Whereas like for this side, I went in lines for the visual impact. So it really just depends on what look you're going for, but it doesn't matter so much if the right side is going to be the rug side because people aren't really going to be able to tell. So when you're punching, you don't want to keep it the same, like you don't want to be punching in the same place as you did before. So what I mean by that is, see how I'm actually punching in the center of the length of that stitch and offsetting my stitches a little bit. This will help fill in the rug side as well as just kind of looks a little bit better on the wrong side, on the flat side. So, but if you're making a rug, you for sure want to make sure you're offsetting your stitches. Otherwise, you're going to have bald lines. And then once it gets filled in and you're ready to switch colors, I'm going to show you how to do that. So again, I'm going to reach through and I'm going to hold on to this piece of yarn that's behind, not in front, but behind the punch needle. And then I'm going to pull my punch needle up and let some yarn run through it. Then I'm going to grab my scissors and snip that. I'm still holding on to that yarn I grabbed in the back. And then I'm just going to pull that through. And ta-da! All right, so now we're ready to switch to pink. So I'm going to show you what it looks like if you don't give yourself slack, if you're holding tension, because it's good to know if something's happening that that's what's happening. So if there's tension in your yarn, it's going to do that. As you're punching, it's just going to leave this like line and it's going to pull out. So if this is happening, that means that you don't have enough slack in your yarn. And then you might be able to see, like I have some stitches that are raised a little bit more here, and that's because I lifted my needle up off of the monk's cloth. So if you make a mistake and you want to go back, just pull on it. Super easy. And then I just pull on my yarn to get my punch needle back, the tip back down to the monk's cloth. And you can tell there's like a little bit of holes. If that bothers you, you can like agitate it a little bit, rub on it, and it'll go back to normal. But then I'll just start punching again because no harm done. Super easy to go back and fix our mistakes. So I'm going to work on this off camera, but let's go into, with this project, how to finish off a project. There's a few different ways to do this. One of the ways is if you want it to be wall art. So if you're making something for wall art and you just want to hang it on the wall in a nice bamboo embroidery hoop, what you're going to do is you're just going to cut around so that there is maybe like an inch, half an inch, depending on how big the hoop is, all the way around. So I'm going to cut around. And then you'll want to like cut slits periodically. One, because that'll help it while you're working so that it doesn't fray too much while you're working on it. And two, it's easier since it's like a circle to fold it over and glue it down if it's cut periodically. So just cutting it every inch or so around. Okay. Then from here, you're just going to take a hot glue gun. And I don't have this connected or hot glue in it, but you're just going to glue along here and push it down, like glue along here as well on the inside. And you're just going to push it down until all of these are glued and folded over. If you want to make it look even nicer, I mean, it's the back side, it's going to be on the wall, nobody's going to see it, but if you do want to make it look nicer, you can cut a piece of fabric and you can glue it down over this so you don't see all of that. So that is how I'm going to finish this, but I'm not going to do that yet because I want to show you the other way you can finish. So this is what I did for the rugs that I made my sisters. I made my sisters some rugs this year, but you'll do the same thing. You'll cut around it about an inch away and you'll put slits periodically. What you're going to do is you're going to grab yarn that you want to work with and grab, I don't know, just a length and cut it. Don't keep it attached to the ball. Then you're going to put it through a darning needle. Darning needles are like thick, blunt, giant sewing needles. So I have this one. It has like a curved edge, which helps me. And then you're going to take one of the sections and you're going to roll it up like so. And then you're going to put your needle down close to your work, like so. And you're going to leave a little tail there and lay it across the section that you've rolled up. And then you're just going to pull through. So you're going to take your needle, put it down through close to the work, and pull it down. This is called the whip stitch, so it's when you're stitching and you're going around and around and around. So you're just going to do that all the way around. And you're going to have to get yarn and then take a segment and do yarn, but I don't know, but you can kind of see like it's creating this nice finished edge. And this takes a while, but I actually have a lot of fun doing it. It was actually a really mindless, methodical part of making my sister's rugs. But you're just going to continue to do that all the way around, and that kind of is another finish that you can give your work. I know I didn't go through the whole finishing process for you, but hopefully I gave you the little start on how you're going to do that. But I'm very grateful for you all. Thank you so much for participating and watching this video. Hopefully this video was helpful. Like I said, we do have kits available in our shop and just punch needles if you're looking for those. But you can find all of these things by clicking the link below in the description. But thank you all so very much for being here. Now go out there and craft your world. Bye!